Hey guys, welcome back to probably the last video before round 13 kicks off. It's a bit of a boring round. We only get 13 players, even though most of us have 18 or 19 available. So yeah, don't really love that they've done that, but it is what it is. This will be the buys, holds, sells, all that jazz. I'll be talking about my trades that are pretty much locked in. This is probably the 1 week where I haven't really changed my mind too much. So yeah, I think they're locked in. I'll get another video out later on tomorrow if I do end up changing my plans and maybe go through my buy planner. But yeah, otherwise this will be the last video. We'll start off quickly with Origin implications from last night. Nothing of note too much. There were no injuries really. Tino potentially picked up like a slight facial injury, but he's all good to go this week and is not super fantasy relevant. But apart from that, everyone looked like they came away unscathed. Given the Blues did win, I do expect them to pretty much run it back with that squad, especially winning in Suncorp. Max King was the one I thought was most likely not to be playing in game 2, but he had a corker in his first debut, which is good to see. And yeah, he'll definitely be there. You'd have to think, unless Laurie Daly wants to change some things up, but I can't imagine it. He was too strong, played good minutes. So yeah, New South Wales side of things, I'd expect pretty much the same team heading into game 2. Good news for us, Payne Haas looked really good. That quad didn't look to affect him. We haven't heard news if he's backing up yet. I was under the impression that he wouldn't leading up to it when that news of the injury came out. But yeah, I'm more thinking he will play this week anyway. But a lot of us have 3 or at least 3 50-plus mids, so it shouldn't have mattered too much either way. But yeah, I am under the impression that he will back up because he looked really good last night. On the Queensland side of things, I do think we will have a few changes heading into game 2. But Rob Toyer, he was actually really good. Nothing standout-ish. Yeah, he was really solid in his debut, and I think he probably earned his spot and will probably be there for game 2. Kalen Ponga, not so sure. He didn't look great. Obviously, it's hard to be too effective in that sort of scoreline, but yeah, I don't know. I think he is on the hot seat. Queensland losing at Suncorp probably means they're more inclined to switch some things up. And yeah, I think he might be one that might not be there in game 2, which is good from a fantasy perspective. Obviously, you can't make any decisions yet based on it because who knows? Like, he earned that spot on merit, not form anyway. So yeah, who knows? Who knows if Walshy's back by then as well, what he's looking like if he is back. Yeah, I'd say Pong is more likely to lose a spot than Toyer, which makes Toyer more of a hold. But I'm probably still getting rid of him, spoiler alert. Not that I want to, but pretty much because I'm forced into it. Cherry Evans, I would assume he's still there. There's been a bit of talk about Tommy Dearden coming in to start for him. I can't see it personally, but Cherry might be a decent option in round 15 and 18 if that is the case. A lot of us do have our halves sorted, but yeah, it's something to consider. Bo Fermor, I think he either starts or isn't on in the team for game 2. I'm more likely thinking he will start. So I don't think we can bank on him playing in round 15 for us, but he played 15 minutes on the edge. Like, that is such a waste of a bench spot. Either use him or don't. So yeah, I think either he comes in for Cotter and Cotter moves into the forward pack, maybe Mo Fotuaika off the bench. That's what I would suspect would happen. But if they still want to run Cotter in the edge, I think Fermor makes way for someone else. Maybe a Kurt Mann if they do elect to start Dearden. So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. But from a fantasy perspective, the Titans had the bye in round 12, and the fact he didn't play many minutes is actually a good thing for us, or at least me, who has him. Yeah, that's about it. Nothing too much to note. It was a pretty boring game, but I'm a Blues fan, so it was a good game. Getting into my trades. So yeah, pretty much said this from the second lockout had hit, that I was pretty much going to be doing this. Yeah, I want Aitken desperately. I don't really need an edge, but he's so underpriced. I talked about him weeks ago before it was cool to talk about him. He was priced at like 42 or something, and his data at edge was like 56. The only concern is he moves to centre. But if he moves to centre anytime soon, just for one game, he should get dual. There's been a lot of people asking if they think he'll get centre dual, and the answer is no. Pretty much, yeah, FanHub have said they're not giving him dual. I don't know if that was public information. I didn't get it, but I just heard that's what they've said. So yeah, like the only way he gets it is if he moves to centre, which is something we don't want. So yeah, I'm not concerned about that. I don't need him for centre. I just want an underpriced keeper, and as long as he's playing on the edge, he's a guaranteed keeper and super underpriced. So yeah, easy trade out for Egan there. Horse for Kalamatangi. Yep, I think that's pretty sound as well. The fact New South Wales won is good. I was a bit hesitant to get Kalamatangi and advising people maybe to consider it if you have less trades. Because, yeah, I thought he was a big chance of making Origin despite not being in the extended squad. But the fact New South Wales won and Max King looked really good, I don't suspect anything will happen bar injury. So, yeah, pretty set on that one. I talked about Horse not being an end-of-season keeper in my eyes. There's just so many guys around that mark. And Kalamatangi is like the 13th most expensive mid, and he's probably going to be the 3rd or 4th best if he stays in the prop or lock role. So, yeah, pretty easy decision there. And I've got 19 trades. So if he makes Origin, I'm one of the teams that is totally comfortable to trade him back out again. Whereas if you only have 13, 14, maybe you just have to stick with him and it becomes a lot less desirable. But in my situation, he's definitely worth the risk. And then Robert Toya to Jaden Campbell. I don't love that it's for Toya. Ideally, I would have done it for Tamale, but I'm like 16k short or something off the top of my head. The fact that Horsburgh played last week and lost 13k really stings, but I don't think I would have been able to afford it either way. So yeah, I talked about Toya being a hold. I do think he's a hold in most situations. He has a low break even this week, so he should back up. He's a centre playing on Sunday. Like, there's no concern there. So I think he backs up. Low break even, probably gets to 35 to 40, so makes 15, 20k. Then has the buy in round 14, which is actually a really good buy because it means you can loop and stuff like that, and there's not too many options for the Roosters anymore. Like you got Savala, maybe having Nafahu White, who's injured anyway, or Siwa Wong or someone like that. But yeah, having a centre loop option when we have so many is really good. So I would have liked to keep him for that, but getting Jaden Campbell in this week means I don't have to play Savala, and I can still I can now loop Munster and Savala. Savala plays in the last game, so there was no way to loop him exclusively. So I would have just had to play him, and yeah, bringing in Campbell means I can play Munster first off the bench, and if he scores poorly, I can play Savala. But yeah, I've got one loop option because I have Hines, and that's it. And otherwise, yeah, I only have 2 halves. Otherwise, I could have moved Sharp into half and then played Tamale, but I was stuck playing Tamale or Savala, which I didn't love, and getting Jaden Campbell in is pretty much a no-brainer. I don't think is like a necessary pickup this week. They versus the Storm, and he's got like a 65 break even or something. Let me just check that real quick. 70 break even. So yeah, like it's pretty high. Not too concerned about that. I'm getting him in as a keeper, and so I don't have to play Savala. So yeah, it makes sense for my team. I don't have any loop options apart from Hines, like I mentioned. So even though my team is really strong, I actually don't think I'm going to move up ranks this round. There's just teams with a lot more loop options than me. We have 3 fantasy relevant teams on the bye. Who had really good buy schedules, so that means a lot of players picked them up last week. But since I didn't end up using any trades last week, it means I don't have any guys from that team, like Max King, stuff like that, or Adam Fanua-Blake, players like that. So yeah, I've only got the 1 loop option, but my starting 13 is really solid. Obviously, Hines is Munster there. But yeah, essentially it's 12 keepers plus Munster. So yeah, really happy with my squad. It's just I would have liked some more loop options. And yeah, that's pretty much my best 13 I could have played throughout the season anyway. And then I've got like Hosking, who I'm not going to be playing, which is pretty crazy. So if I don't get Kalamatangi or Aitken, I'm set on getting them. But if I weren't to get one, I just have Hosking slip in there anyway. So yeah, my team's really strong. It's just I don't have loop options, so I probably slip slightly through ranks because most people will have a few. Yeah, that's about it for my team. We'll get into the trade targets. So like usual, I have this little table. I split into forwards, backs, and then I have my holds or sells towards the end. When we get to the holds or sells, I won't go too in-depth with the mid-ranges. Probably won't even touch on them because I had my video yesterday, which was dedicated to the mid-ranges. So if you want to see my opinion on them, have a look. But yeah, I've got a table there, so hopefully that's enough for you. Split into 3 categories: buys, ones to watch, and not interested. Buys and not interested are pretty self-explanatory. Ones to watch, I don't think they're great this week, but I think they should be in your trade consideration. like someone like a Toby Couchman, you know you're going to want him in a couple of weeks before round 15, ideally. So if you bring in a mid or an edge this round, you don't want to get like someone who's like priced at, someone who's going to score like 50 to 53, knowing Couchman, who averages 60, is going to be available next week. Yes, a little bit higher price, but yeah, you just don't want to settle for guys. Like last week, heading into round 12, we saw a lot of people pick up those fringe guys like Adam Fanua-Blake, McInnes, because they were the best options available that played in round 12 and 15. So it made total sense. But this round's a lot easier to navigate. And yeah, you just want to consider players who could come into consideration over the next couple of weeks who might be better. And then we've got some like mid-ranges on that list and stuff in a couple of other positions. So yeah, we'll get into it. I'll start with the hookers. So there's actually no buys in hookers this week. It's a really tough position. We knew it would be for round 15 and 18. If you don't have Jazz Tavanga, then it is a bit tough. You're probably going to have to pick up one of these guys because Aaron Clark, Riley Smith don't play in round 15. And yeah, Jazz is pretty much the only one, which made him a lot better option. I did like Marnie. I thought he was going to be a really good option. But yeah, there's news that the Bulldogs don't want him, so I think his minutes decline, which is a bit scary. And there's a chance Bailey Hayward might even start over him, or even Jake Turpin, who could become an option if he starts. But yeah, I wouldn't bank on it. Maybe if he's on the bench and like Marnie's just dropped altogether, then he becomes an option. But they've got a buy this week. We can wait and see on that one. Damien Cook's the first one we'll talk about. So he's priced at 43, which is obviously a lot lower than we're used to for him. Last year, playing 80, averaged 61.2, which is just crazy. And that's about where he's averaged the last couple of years. His minutes have just been down this year. We know Jacob Little on the bench, and he's been really solid. But he's starting to get a few 80 games into his system. He played 80 last week, played 80 in round 6, which is a lifetime ago. But yeah, he's been decent in his lower minutes, but we can't justify it if he's not playing 80. So I want to wait and see this week. I do think he's not a bad option this week alone if you need a hooker because he plays round 15 and 18. But yeah, like I'd rather lose 20K on him and see another 80-minute game go through. And then if that happens, then yeah, all sweet. I don't think Dylan Egan would have affected his minutes too much in that one. Like obviously Dylan Egan went out after a couple of minutes, so they were playing with a 3-forward bench. But yeah, I just want to see if he gets close to 80, even like 65 plus, I'll probably pull the trigger either next week or the week after. Just because, yeah, it's so slim pickings at hooker. And I don't know, if I can go Riley Smith straight up to Damien Cook, who we know has the pedigree, he just needs the minutes, then yeah, I think he's a good option. But yeah, I wouldn't be doing it this week. Just wait and see what those minutes are like. Api Coruscant, similar boat. He's starting to get a few 80-minute games, which is good. Obviously had 103 last week, which is crazy. Even though he has a low break-even, I probably wouldn't pull the trigger. I just want to see what his minutes are like. If he is playing solid minutes, like if he is getting close to 70, then yeah, I think he's a great option. The main appeal is round 18. So if you want him, I'd probably pick him up after round 15. At this stage, I probably think Damien Cook's a slightly better buy, as long as he's playing bigger minutes. But yeah, just because he plays round 15 and 18 and he has better pedigree playing bigger minutes. But yeah, there's a few people wanting Api Coruscant. I probably wouldn't do it this week, even though he has a low break-even. Harry Grant, yeah, not interested at all this week. Just one to watch with his price. He's going to start to get a bit lower. He's got a 55 break-even. Oh, it's about 60, I think. It's close to. Let's have a look. Nope. Yeah, 61. So he's going to lose a bit of money. He probably won't play 80. He is going to back up, apparently. I think I heard that, which yeah, we were expecting, but he's probably going to play close to 60 minutes or so, which means he'll lose a bit more money. And yeah, he just hasn't been great this year. And if he gets priced at like 43, 44 coming into round 18, obviously he's playing Origin, but I think just when he gets to a low price, I think that's when you want to get him. Hooker is a tough position this year. I know Aaron Clark's made it a bit easier on us, but he's probably the second best hooker. Wade Egan's fallen off the cliff a little bit. So yeah, I think you want Harry Grant at some stage. I just don't know when. It's going to be when he looks to have bottomed out, and I think we just wait and watch on him. Definitely not a consideration this week, but one to watch with his price. And then Jazz Tavanga, where have I put him? Yeah, not interested. Yeah, that makes sense. I think he is a really good option in general. If you've got him, that's awesome. Jakey Turbo's out again this week, which I think bodes well for his minutes. He played 80 at lock last week. They did have 2 injuries, I think, one to a half and then one other one. I think maybe a backline injury. But yeah, their pack was all over the place. I didn't think he'd play 80 still, but he did. I think even Jake Simpkin got injured for a little bit there. So yeah, I think his minutes this week are strong. He'll make a bit of money this week. Plays around 15 and 18, but he's not going to make 150K, and you're going to have to use a second trade to get him out. So everyone's super low on trades. If you do need a hooker for around 15 and 18 and you have maybe 18 trades, then yeah, I'd probably do it just because he is good coverage. But I'd probably rather just wait for Damien Cook in round 15 if you were leaning towards a mid-ranger in hooker anyway. So yeah, that's my thoughts on them. It's really slim pickings at the moment, but we are desperate for one, so we'll just have to wait and see. Then getting into the mids, so yeah, Kalamatangi, I talked about him already. I think I do have a tab for him. Yeah, I'm not going to deep dive into him. He's the most popular pickup this week, and for good reason. He averages 58 at lock, 57 at prop, albeit in 3 games. Priced at 50, plays around 15, round 18, as long as he doesn't make Origin. He's a no-brainer. I probably prefer Aitken over him ever so slightly. I know Wayne Bennett has said he's playing mid, which is great, but things change with injuries. And if he goes back to the edge, he's not as strong. He's priced a little bit higher at 50, so he could easily average that even if he mixes in a couple of games at edge. There are a lot more mids that are really good and better than him. Like you got May, Haas, Tarpany, who's the fourth one? Yo, who are probably all going to be better than him. So yeah, like there are a lot more mids, and obviously he covers edge as well. Yeah, I just think I prefer Aitken, who's priced a lot lower, but still, Kalamatangi is a great option and is a no-brainer. I'm bringing him in. Morgan Smithies, I didn't really know where to put him. I think he was a better buy last week, obviously playing around 12. And I talked about him being a great option then, and I hope a few of you picked him up. Because, yeah, I wanted to do it. I just had too many Raiders in my team that I didn't want to pull the trigger, and Horsburgh ended up playing Origin, so ended up missing Origin, so I didn't need it in the end. But yeah, I thought there was an easy path to him averaging 60-plus minutes while Nicholson is out, and he played 61 again. I think he played the first 61 minutes again and then came out and didn't come back, which is the same as round 11 when he played 64 straight. But yeah, he's really solid in those minutes long term. Obviously, he doesn't have that bye coverage anymore. He only plays round 18, which is a long time away. But if you're like a head-to-head player, I think certainly get him in if you're not affected by the bye or you don't care about the bye period. And just in general, like he's a really good midi. He's like 10 points underpriced, you'd have to think. Potential for a fringe end-of-season keeper, like in your AFB, McInnes type categories. I don't think he quite gets there, but I think he averages 48 or close to at least. Playing 60-plus minutes, he averages 50 last year and then 65 this year. No tries. Yeah, he has a couple of try saves in there and turnover tackles, but his base is really strong. I think he's definitely 10 points underpriced, which fits my metric for being a buy. So, yeah, buy rounds aside, I think he is a great buy. Just look at your buy planner. That's a lot of buys. Buy, B-U-Y and B-Y-E. Apologies for that. Leo Thompson. Again, you've just missed round 12. He obviously didn't play in that one, so you couldn't have done much about that. But I think he is a decent buy. I think I put him wait and see. Ones to watch, yeah. I want to see... Well, there's just no rush to get him with a high break even. It's probably about 60. And yeah, like coming back from gastro, who knows? But Adam Elliott's out for the season, so I want to see what his minutes... not out for the season. I think he's out for a while, so I want to see what his minutes are like with him out. He's not going to make any money this week and still plays in round 15, which is solid. Round 18 is a little bit tougher than round 15, but I know personally I'm struggling for mids in round 15 anyway, so I think he does become an option. Playing his normal minutes, he averages 50, which is a fringe keeper. So he's a little bit underpriced. So If he does have really strong minutes, then I think he becomes an option. But if he is falling back into that 45, 50-minute category, then probably not. We want to see 55 to 60 for him to be worth it in my eyes. Tallis Duncan, I'm alone on this bridge. I do have him in my team. I got him over Aitken a couple of weeks ago. I was on the fence, but I was pretty sold on Duncan, to be honest, and I did go that way. He's been pretty shit, I'll be honest. I'm not concerned, but I'm a little bit concerned. I think obviously he's playing he's playing really solid minutes in the second row, which is good. He obviously came out and scored that 24 against the Broncos. The Broncos just went the other way all game. Like there was even sets of all 5 tackles were down the other edge. So there's not much he could have done. He didn't look great. He had 5 errors. Like every time he touched the ball, he just dropped it. Some of them weren't his fault. But yeah, like that was a poor game. And that was the first week I brought him in, and especially when I was so heavy on insisting he was a good option. Then last week he was really good. Just got a try save. And then, a try saving tackle, and then gave away a penalty and sin bin. So he was on 43 after about 63 minutes or so, or 65 minutes-ish. And then obviously got the sin bin for a -7. So he went back down to 36 and then came back on with a couple of minutes left and didn't do anything. But he was on track for close to a 50 or above a 50, which is a lot more where I thought he would be at. Obviously, he did have a try save and a turnover in that. So I guess that you can't rely on them every week. But 32 tackles is decent with 80 metres. That's 40 in base and not a lot of negatives apart from the penalty and Simbin. So yeah, I do think he's a good option. His data at second row playing big minutes is really solid, which is why I wanted to do it. It looks a little bit worse now because he's had those 2 bad games, but I think it was like 48 or so. So yeah, I did think he was a really good option. I'd still wait and see. I want to see, like, if you don't have him, there's no rush. I think Aitken and Koloamatangi are clear buys. So yeah, you don't need to, but I think he's secure in that role, which is good. And yeah, I think there's every chance he goes back to a 40-plus point scorer. Just want to see, if you don't have him, there's no rush, and just see if his output is a bit better in the next game. Fainu, so yeah, he's on no one's radar either. They do have an edge on the bench who played 30 minutes last week, so he went down to 50 minutes. If that ever changes again soon, I think he does become a good option. I'm hoping, I can't remember who it is, but I hope the guys on the bench for the next couple of games, Fainu gets to lower than 400k, and then they drop an edge off the bench, and then he's back to 80, and then potentially a pick up in round 16, 17 before the round 18 bye. Because yeah, he's priced at 33, will lose money this week, especially if he doesn't play 80. So he could get down to 400k, and his data playing 80 minutes is actually really strong. This year it's only 38, but last year it was 42, and then 47 in one game. So yeah, I think there's every chance he gets back to that. He just needs the minutes, and he could become a really good option in round 18. He is a mid-ranger, and it is getting late to buy some of those, especially if you are low on trades. So it's only one if you have more trades and want to take a flyer on someone. I think he could become a good option for that down the track. Hamish Stewart, he's on my not interested list, along with Victor Radley. I forgot to talk about Brayley and Paddy as well. Paddy's only there starting for 1 or 2 weeks, so not interested. And Brayley, he only plays round 15 now, and he wasn't much of an option. He's probably going to be like the 3rd to 5th best hooker by season's end. And yeah, if you were going to get him, you were going to get him before the round 12 game. Victor Radley, I think he is definitely underpriced, but I think if you were going to take that risk again, it should have been before round 12. And then he obviously scored well, but always a concussion and injury risk, concussion and suspension risk. So too rich for my blood, but you did well if you got him last week. Now Hamish Stewart. So he's on my not interested list. Emre Gall is the 18th man, and either he plays this week or most likely next week, which is concerning because he is a pretty big, decent minute forward. So that means Hamish Stewart's role does decline a little bit. Toby Couchman's also back on the bench, but there's every chance he ends up starting, and then probably Jack DeBellin to lock, and then Hamish Stewart to the bench. Or even if they just keep Hamish Stewart at lock, he probably doesn't get anywhere close to 60 minutes. I think the Dylan Egan injury did help Hamish Stewart. I said it didn't help Cook because obviously he's a hooker. But yeah, it does directly affect the mid rotation, even though he was playing on the edge, because when Leilua comes on, Dylan Egan moves into the forward pack, like the middle forward pack. So yeah, I think he's probably looking at closer to 50 minutes. And just at that price point, it's probably not worth that, especially when Emre Gula comes into the team. He is good. Like he does have a try in there to get to over a point a minute playing those minutes. So I think like there's a chance. Okay. That is my cat. I'll be right back. Willow, do you want to say anything? Hello. Apologies about that. I would love to say that's the first time, but no, those cats love doing it as soon as I'm on the laptop. So what was I saying? I think if he plays 50 minutes, he is a decent option with that points per minutes. But when I say I think he plays 50, I think that's the highest he plays. And I think there's every chance he goes back to 40, 45 minutes, especially if he plays games on the bench. He's not going to make 150K, you wouldn't think. Let's have a quick look. Let's have a look. Let's say he scores 45s. Yeah, like he's only going to make about 70, 80K, which isn't enough, obviously. And it's just an awkward price when his role isn't secure. And yeah, if you're scoring 45s every week, I don't know if that's too great in the mid position. Obviously, I just made it a case for Tallis Duncan, but you can afford to wait a week on him when you can't on Hamish Stewart because it's now or never. He does play round 15 and 18, which is more appealing. So if you wanted to take a flyer, then feel free. Just for me, I'm not interested because I don't know what his role is going to be, and I think he's going to have volatile minutes, which is very tricky for a mid-ranger, especially one you want to take a flyer on. So yeah, I think his upside is good, but I think his downside is pretty close to where he's at, where he's priced at. So for me, it's not worth the risk. I'd much rather someone who has a secure role like Tallis Duncan, and we've seen more data. We saw about 10 games of him scoring 15 points above where he should be, as opposed to 4 games with a try. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I just couldn't do it personally, but there is people interested in it, and I don't hate it. Just for me, I'm not interested. And then moving on to the edge position. Yes. So yeah, I'll talk about Aitken first. I do think I prefer him over Koloamatangi, even though the edge, we do have a lot of them. But playing second row, he's got so much data, and he averages 55, which is a bona fide keeper in that position. Last season averaged 57, 66, 49, which is a bit of a down year, but then 64. And yeah, so we know what he can do. He's averaging 62 this year in that role. And yeah, he's priced at 46. Like it's a no-brainer. I know we do have excess edges, but yeah, he plays round 15 and 18. Hosking does miss round 15, so yeah, Dylan Lucas misses 18, Bo Fermor misses 18 and potentially 15. So a lot of those premium edges don't have perfect buy coverage where Aitken does. They don't have a buy till round 19. He's probably 10 points underpriced. He's not playing Origin. The only downside is potentially he moves to centre at some games. But even then, if he does that, we might get Jewel. So it's only upside for him. Yeah, props to you if you did it a couple of weeks ago. I was a chance of doing it here, but couldn't pull the trigger. But yeah, he's been awesome, and it's the week to get him if you haven't already. Leilua, so yeah, a bit of an interesting one. He's a one to watch for sure. Just with Dylan Egan going down, he probably plays 80 minutes. I don't think they have an edge. No, they don't have an edge on the bench. They have Jacob Little, who serves as a bench hooker, and sometimes him or Cook play in the middle a little bit. And then the other 3 are bona fide middles. The only guy who I've seen ever play edge is Toby Couchman, and he's only playing middle these days. So I'd say Leilua probably plays 80 for the most part, averaging 42 in 2 games this year. Last year averaged 43, 48 the year before, 45, 55. He's obviously not going to get back there. He's not the same player. But yeah, I think as long as he's playing 80, I think is a decent option. He does have a low break even, but I'd wait a week just to make sure that he is playing 80. And then, yeah, he is a good upside flyer. I prefer him as a flyer over Hamish Stewart, but it's up to you who you prefer if you do need to take a flyer, but I don't recommend it if you are low on trades. Jermaine Hopgood, also a one to watch. The minutes were actually a little bit stronger last week and the week before, Obviously, if he's playing these minutes, like we're never interested, but we know how good of a player he is. All we wanted to see was him get those minutes. 50 is probably not enough for me to pull the trigger, even though he would score about 50, just because of the poor bye schedule, not playing round 15 or 18. But if those minutes get back to 55, 60, I don't care about the buys. I will be bringing him in. Jack Williams, a bit of the same, obviously playing for the same team, so same bye schedule. But his minutes have been really good. I prefer him in that prop role, especially when he's playing close to 70 minutes. He's averaging 57 in those. So I think if he gets another week doing that, I might be interested. But again, it's a bit tricky with the bye schedule. But I do like him as a flyer, especially if he were to have better buys. But at the moment, can't do it. Probably won't ever end up doing it. I think there's better options out there. But he's one to watch. If those minutes still play 70, he might get tempting. And then not interested, Kitione Kartonga, I do have him in my team. Really happy with him, obviously. But yeah, there's no point bringing him in now if you don't already have him. If you do, that's awesome. He's probably a keep for a while now. Maybe reassess in round 15. Yeah, there's not much chance he averages 50 for the season. And that's really the only reason you'd be bringing him in now anyway. So yeah, his ceiling is 50 points. And then that would make him a fringe buy. There's every chance he averages 42, 43 moving forward. So, yeah, ride that wave if you're an owner, but if you're not, it's one you missed, unfortunately. And then Blake Steep. I don't think this one's super popular, but obviously coming off a 68 last week, there might be a little bit of interest. I have no interest personally. He scores a point a minute, which is good, but those minutes are where he's priced at. He might get bigger minutes again in round 15 and 18 like we saw in round 12, but he's too expensive. That was okay if you needed like a Zach Docker-Clay or someone who's a little bit cheaper in a more desirable position, but he's too awkwardly priced. There's way better options out there. He's just a no-go for me. And then moving into the back line, so this one's a lot less complicated. There's not too many here. We'll start off with our one buy in Jaden Campbell. Talked about him a bit. 70 break even. You probably don't have to do it this week. They do have a little bit of a tough schedule. They only play round 15, not round 18. But I think if you do want to get him, it's now or after round 18. So he's a must-have by the end of the season. He's a lot better than any other winger fullback. He's the second best half. So I started the year with him, even though they had the bye. It was just unfortunate he got injured. But I think you have to get him in at some stage. So to me, it's like now or after that bye. And I'm doing it now personally. It helps my team a lot more. I'm prepared to lose whatever money he loses as long as he keeps scoring 60s. He was probably going to be in the top 5 players towards the start of the season. He was really cheap. He was just unfortunate with that injury. But he's going to average close to 60. He's a little bit underpriced, even though he does have a high break even. I'm doing it. I'm pulling the trigger this week, but you don't have to. It's not one you have to rush, really. Jerome Hughes, I feel like we talked about him for weeks on end a couple of weeks back, but he still hasn't delivered yet. I don't think it's the week to do it. Still has a relatively high break even coming off a 19. I think I'm going to be doing it after round 15. There's a chance I do it before then because I have 2 halves for round 15 and I need one for round 18. But I don't know. I just want to see some sort of form from him. He probably does a little bit better in round 13 and round 16 when Munster's backing up. But we've even seen Munster take the kicking meters off him to a huge degree in the last couple of weeks. So I don't know what's going on. He gets injured every game, it seems like, or at least picks up something. So I'd be waiting to see some form, but we know how high his upside is. So averaged 60 last year alone. He's definitely one to watch. It's just a scary one. You want him for round 18, I think, but it's sort of like Ponga. They're just not delivering too much, even though we know what they can be. So don't do it this week, but one to watch for sure. Jamie Humphries, not really similar to Jerome Hughes. Obviously, he's lost a bit of money because he got injured and played 5 minutes for a score of 1. We know what he can average when he does play big minutes. He's not going to get back to the heights of the early season just because that was with that was without Latrell. Like, look at those kick meters before he got injured compared to after. Like 218, and then he did kick 530 last week, but I think Latrell was out. Sorry, not last week, in round 11. But yeah, I think Latrell was out. So yeah, when Latrell's missing, he's going to be a lot better. Or maybe Latrell did play because he didn't kick goals. Anyway, Latrell takes goal kicking off him, takes a few kick meters in game. So yeah, there's just not a path to him averaging 55 plus. But I think he could average 50 still. He's a big tackler, still gets through a fair few kick meters. If he ever got goal kicking back, he's a no-brainer. But yeah, I might look to get him before round 15 even. Depends what his price is at. He'll probably get close to 500k soon, which is really good. And yeah, I think he is going to become an option. So that's a consideration when you are bringing in halves this week or next week, that you probably want Jamie Humphreys or Jerome Hughes soon. Ezra Mam, yeah, talked about him quickly yesterday. There's just no interest whatsoever. Averaged 31 last year. We'll be fair. We'll give him his 70 minutes. Average 31. So average 31, then 32, then 35, and his price at 36. So, like, he's overpriced and a mid-ranger. Doesn't play round 15. Don't know how is the second most popular pickup. I'm pretty sure that's true. Yeah, the second most popular. I don't get it. Stay off the road, buddy. Then we'll go into the centres. I'll just talk about Dane Gagai. Sam Ronnie, he's playing centre for Will Penasini, who's got a concussion, but I think that's only a 1 week thing, so no interest. He's a good player, but not fantasy relevant at this stage. Dane Gagai, he's priced at 39. I've talked about him for weeks on end. I think he gets back to close to 50. I said he wouldn't play Origin. His data's really strong over the last couple of years. With Bradman Best out, he does get a bit more ball, as we saw last week. And we know he's picking up goal kicking if Ponga's on Origin duties, which is good. Again, I also said Ponga might not play in game 2 or 3, so that's also a consideration. But it's just an added upside when I think he could average 50 anyway. Apparently I do have Sam Ronnie here. But yeah, like I said, not interested. Then on ones to watch, we'll get on to Kalen Ponga now. It's crazy. He's been what we thought was going to be a pickup at some stage if he missed Origin. But that form hasn't even picked up, and he did make Origin. So worst of both worlds. If you have him, keep him, I guess, because he is super low in price. And we know what he can do. So yeah, his form doesn't look there. The Knights look shit, but you're in too deep if you already have him. And I think we're still looking out for him as non-owners, hoping he misses Origin and hoping that form picks up. Yeah, don't do it this week, obviously, but if we know he's not playing Origin in round 15, he's probably going to be picked up by about 20%. So one to watch, but yeah, not this week. Heath Mason, so yeah, he's the starting half for the Tigers. Talked about him. His data in reserve grade wasn't great. I think he averaged like 34. At fullback, though, he actually is really good in real life. Those tackle breaks are huge. Run meters are good. He did kick a little bit out the back, which is a good sign. I don't think he takes massive meters, but even if he gets like 200 kick meters, that's another 7 points. We'll see what his tackling's like, but they do have Latu Fainu, who could come back at any stage. So just want to see when we get an update on Latu and then see who is the preferred half. And then he's potentially an option, but yeah, I just would like to see who Benji would actually like at half, because Mason's a fullback by trade. So yeah, I can't imagine he was the first choice. So wait and see, but definitely not this week. And then moving on to Clint Gutherson. I don't know why. There's been a few people asking about him, and I don't really like it. He is slightly underpriced, I'll give you that. And he does play round 15 and 18, so I may have just answered my own question there. But yeah, I just don't love him as an option in general. Averaged 43 last year, 46 the year before, 43, then 51. But again, if you're looking back 4 seasons, it's probably a bit too late. So yeah, I think he averages probably around 45, which is fair enough. Has a low break even, so yeah, he is slightly underpriced, but there's no path to him averaging 50. So he's not going to be a keeper. You might make 50k on him and then decent buy rounds, but then you've got to trade him out again. So yeah, it's a bit too late to make trades for the guys like that who don't have a massive upside, which he doesn't. So yeah, I wouldn't have any interest whatsoever in someone like him unless you're desperate for a winger fullback, and there's literally no other options. It's like last man on earth sort of stuff, but there's plenty of options, so not for me. And yeah, that's it for the trade targets for this round. There's not a ton of interest in a lot of guys. I think it's pretty clear cut. The top guys like Kalamatangi, Aiken, and Campbell. It's not a week you need to make trades. Obviously, we only have 13 playing. Most of us have a full squad. There has to be something seriously wrong if you don't. You have to be super unlucky with injuries and stuff if you don't have a full 13. So yeah, you probably can wait, especially if you are low on trades. But for me, I want to get a full squad of keepers, and I think if you bring in keepers this week, then you're totally fine. But other than that, yeah, it's probably a week you can wait and see on a lot of guys. So we'll move into our sells or holds. I'm not going to talk about a lot of these guys. 80% of them are mid-rangers, and I had a video on mid-rangers yesterday, like I said. So yeah, if you want my insight on them, you can always do that, but you get a small insight as to whether I think they're a sell or hold here. Wade Egan, so obviously he misses round 15 and 18. It was great for round 12. Well, you thought it was going to be great. He scored 38, which sucked. Yeah, that's like his lowest score of the year. So he started out the season hot as anything and has really cooled down lately. I think he could potentially average 50 moving forward, or close to. Yeah, like he averaged 52 last year, playing 80, 49 the year before. So yeah, he probably averages close to where he's priced at. But he's not playing 80 every week. He's lost a couple of minutes, and still in 75 minutes, that's totally fine. But he doesn't play round 15 and 18, and one of him or Riley Smith has to go eventually if you have them both. And I think it's pretty clear cut that Egan's going to be the choice there. We obviously have Aaron Clark as our bona fide keeper, and you've got guys like Harry Grant, Damien Cook, who are cheaper and could perform at the same level as Wade Egan, who have better buy schedules. So yeah, well, not Grant, but Cook does. So yeah, I think he's a pretty easy sell. You don't have to force one into with him. He will lose a bit of money if you don't, but yeah, he'd be the one I'd be trading for sure. Horse, so yeah, we'll talk about him quickly, even though I touched on him yesterday. I think he's fine to keep if you want to. He's not going to lose money. He's going to keep scoring around 50 to 53, but there's upgrades available. Kalamatangi is the same price and is a clear upgrade, who is a clear end-of-season guy, assuming he keeps his role. And yeah, Horsburgh's minutes just haven't been there. I know he has only scored under 50 a couple of times and never under 40, which is really consistent, which is good. But yeah, he hasn't played 55 plus minutes since round 4, apart from one game where he played 55. So yeah, the minutes aren't there for me. This clear upgrades is probably like the 7th to 10th best mid by end of season. So I don't view him as a keeper, and he doesn't play round 15. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable to sell him this week. Then Liam Henry, yeah, unlucky if you picked him up last week. I did think he was a really good option as a high upside flyer. I was potentially going to do it. I had Egan Butcher a bit higher than him, but it was one of those two. If one of Dylan Lucas or Kartonga scored badly, but they both scored well, so I didn't need a loop. Yeah, he still scored well, which is good, but he got sin-binned and concussed, so really unlucky, and now he's suspended for 2 weeks. So yeah, just have to bite the bullet there and trade him back out, because he was only really a good option for round 12 and round 16 when the guys weren't backing up. But yeah, you've lost round 12 now and he's out for 2 weeks. So yeah, goodbye Liam Henry, unfortunately. Sandon Smith's my last one I'll talk about for the sells. Yeah, he's on the fence. Like, his break-even's about 40. He's a bit unlucky to be averaging only 37. He's averaging 41 for the year without that -2. But that is with the 75. He does play around 15 or 18, but we have Savala. Like most people have, like other guys like Kartonga Hines or Fogarty, who cover at least one of those two buy rounds. He's just a better price than a few like Savala and stuff. So if you do need to upgrade, he's probably the one I would do. Savala still has a lot more money to make as well. So yeah, Sandon Smith, it's not a forced trade by any means, but it's a luxury one, and I'd probably do it. Because yeah, your Eels guys like Riley Smith and Kartonga still have money as well. So yeah, he's the one mid-ranger out of those that I probably would trade. And then my keeps, AFB, you obviously bought him for around 12 and 15. Round 12's been, so you got that out of him. It wasn't the best score, and now there's news he is out. There was photos that he was in a sling, which isn't great. We don't know the severity yet. The Sharks are keeping it a little bit hush-hush. They said he's going to be fine for round 14, but he's got a bye this week anyway. And you knew when you were buying him that he was going to miss this round with a bye anyway. So yeah, it doesn't actually change much yet. If there's word that comes out that he's going to be out for round 14 and potentially 15, then yeah, maybe he is more of a sell because he's not an end of season bona fide keeper. But for now, just hold on to him. Ola Kawatu, he's a keep as well. Apologies. Obviously he had a terrible score in round 12, but still plays round 15, round 18. There's a path to where he gets back to a 50-point guy like last season. Given he played poorly last game, I don't think he is any chance of making Origin, especially since they won, New South Wales won. So yeah, I think he could easily get back to 50. There's a chance Cherry Evans misses out on Origin in game 2. I don't think it's highly likely, but if he does and he's back playing for Manly, that's really good for Ola Kawatu. So I think you just hold on till at least round 15 and then maybe reassess since they have 2 buys in 4 weeks. Nafahu White, if you kept him already for round 12, you may as well keep him now. He's got a bye next week, so he's a good loop option next week. He's a good option this week as a looper, and then plays round 15 for you. So pretty much a no-brainer. And then Nico Hines and Isaiah Katoa are both on the sells list, and I don't understand it all. They both play round 15. They're both keepers, so yeah, just keep them. There's not much I need to say there. Just hold on to them, please. But yeah, that's about it. My trades are pretty much locked in. It's a pretty boring week for trading. There's not a lot of targets that stray away from the majority. So yeah, I think just lock in Kaloa Matangi and Aitken if there's a path to getting them for mid-ranges. I wouldn't blow your team up to get both of them in, but yeah, I think most people should be able to get there pretty comfortably, and otherwise just hold your trades because it's a super easy week. But yeah, until next time, guys, enjoy. Good luck this round, and we'll get back to you probably tomorrow night or the night after. See ya.